Things could get a bit more heated tonight. Not only will Joe Biden be on the stage, so will Kamala Harris, who very effectively went after the former vice president on the issue of race during the first debate, and Cory Booker, who's been hitting Biden in recent weeks over issues of race and his support for the 1994 crime bill. In a moment, I'll speak with a representative from the Booker campaign. But with me now is Ian Sams, National Press Secretary for Kamala Harris's campaign. Ian, good to see you.
Hey, Chuck. Thanks for having me.
So, I'm sure you're a bit exhausted from all of the pre-writing by all the reporters that say, are we going to see round two of Harris versus Biden? Let me ask you this. Do you feel like your candidate has to go after Biden tonight, perhaps the way she did last time?
No. And look, I think a lot of this is covered as if it's a sporting match or a boxing bout, but it's actually about the issues that matter to real people. And I think what Kamala is going to do tonight is come out and talk about what keeps people up at night. Too often right now we get into these debates that are ideological or theoretical and aren't actually about the issues that people are worried about. How am I going to get health care? Am I going to be able to make ends meet at the end of a month? My kid, are they going to go to school tomorrow and have a shooter walk in the door and take their life? And Kamala has real plans to address each of those things, and she's going to connect directly with voters and talk about the solutions that she's offering for their lives.
One of the issues that rhetorically has tripped her up has been the issue of health care, Medicare for all, her plan. Describe her plan. I don't want to, before I ask you about it in the various different lanes, just simply describe your plan. Is it more of taking Obamacare and adding on to it, or is it a scrapping of Obamacare and starting over?
Well, look, I think that, first of all, President Obama last year said that Medicare for all was a good idea. And so this is growing on the success of the Affordable Care Act, which got 30 million people covered. It's a great achievement. But we have to go to the next step. There are still millions and millions and millions of people in this country who don't have access to health insurance. So what Kamala's done, she supports Medicare for all. But over the course of the last 6 months, she's heard from voters that have said, I have some anxieties. I have some concerns about how quickly this is going to be put into place. Will it ban private insurance? Like, what's going to happen to me? So she's taken those concerns and she's talked to experts and she's put together a plan that does two things. One, it says immediately everyone's going to have a Medicare buy-in. And in 10 years, not 4 years like Senator Sanders wants to do, but in 10 years, we're going to have a new Medicare system. And that Medicare system is going to offer a Medicare public plan and private plans that can operate within that Medicare system, just like Medicare today. There have been experts and columnists who've come out in the last 2 days and said, Kamala's plan actually looks the most like taking Medicare as we know it and expanding it to every single American by keeping the private option playing within that same system. So that's how it would work. We're not going to ban private insurance proactively. If they can play by our rules, we're not going to put them out of business. We're going to give them a chance. But if they can't play by our rules, then I guess they're going to have to get out.
It does sound like it is an attempt to try to bridge this divide about one end or the other. Is that what you want people to take away?
Well, look, like I said before, this isn't a theoretical exercise and it's not ideological. It's about how do we get the best result for American families. Right now, we have millions of people who, even if they have a job, they can't afford to get health care. They worry about paying a $5,000 deductible just to get their kid taken care of if they're sick. That's not a system that we can work within. So she's taken Medicare for all, and frankly, she's improved upon it. Kathleen Sebelius, architect of the Affordable Care Act, President Obama's HHS secretary, she said that this was the best path to get us to Medicare for all. So look, this is growing upon the successes that we've had as Democrats over the last 10 years with health care and finally achieving the goal that we've had for decades of universal coverage for every American.
What do you say, though, that to be this disruptive again to the health care system? You heard, I don't know if you heard Kate Bedingfield making the case going, does anybody remember how difficult it was to get Obamacare passed, right? And now, basically, 10 years later, you want to start and do this painful process all over again politically, rather than building on what's there. Some people say, okay, that's not dreaming big, but that is one could argue that is the reality we live in.
Well, right now, we have a system in which insurance companies rule the roost. They get profits on profits on profits, and they do it on the backs of sick people. And that's not okay. And so Kamala's going to fight to make a better system for all Americans. She knows it's going to be hard. She knows that insurance companies are going to throw everything they have at her.
Obamacare is basically failing. She thinks that Obamacare, as it stands right now, isn't doing the job?
We have to expand upon it. Even President Obama said that Medicare for All is a good idea. We need to go to the next step so that we can finally get universal coverage with lower or no costs for every American so that they can actually get the care they need. And look, she's up for the fight. This is a woman who's the Attorney General of the state of California. She went after pharmaceutical companies and won in court for her constituents. So this is somebody who knows how to take on a fight and get it done.
Ian Sams, I will leave it there. I got to ask about the Clemson paw print there. Are you just trying to taunt people? I mean, what is that about?
I'm an Alabama alum, but one of my best friends in the world was a guy, Tyrone Gale, who was Kamala's last press secretary. He passed away from cancer last year, so I'm wearing this for him tonight.
Wow. Well, I love the reason that you're doing it. So with that, be sure to pass a $2 bill around with a paw print in his behalf as well. They'll like that too, those
Indeed.
Clemson Tiger fans. All right.
And
Ian
go
Sams,
Canes,
thanks
Chuck,
for coming
just for
on.
you.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Meet the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.